Good morning, pretty people. Or good day, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you happen to be. So, today, we're going to talk about violence and whether or not it's moral. Yeah, but first, let's show you this. This is a video taken from Earl's Court in, I assume, London. And as you can see, there's a chocolate individual, let's call him a chocolate English, who's attempting to steal the watch from the man who's running from him. Notice no one at all interfering. Everyone stops to look. Some people are even recording with their phones. This guy is clearly desperate to do anything other than be violent to the guy who's trying to physically rob him. Now, that of course calls to mind a quote from Robert Heinlein, which is the following. Anyone who clings to the historically untrue and thoroughly immoral doctrine that violence never solves anything, I would advise to conjure the ghosts of Napoleon Bonaparte and the Duke of Wellington and let them debate it. The ghost of Hitler could referee, and the jury might well be the dodo, the great auk, and the passenger pigeon. Violence, naked force, has settled more issues in history than has any other factor, and the contrary opinion is wishful thinking at its worst. Breeds, by which he means races, that forget this basic truth have always paid for it with their lives and freedoms. Freedom. Watching that video made me sick on several different levels, including spiritual, but more importantly, visceral. In my gut, it made me sick to watch people who a generation ago would have happily trounced that guy, and not even necessarily happily, but would have trounced him in a righteous manner because that's what he deserves. Leaving aside the cowardice of the man that was running for the time being, I'll point a few things out here. You have a crowd of people in what used to be a very ethnically homogenous country who once would have immediately stepped to the call of a fellow in need, a fellow Englishman. Those days are gone, clearly, because we have allowed our governments to atomize our races to the point that we don't even see other people as people anymore, let alone our people. That needs to change. But to come back to the violence side of this, if either the man who had the watch that the chocolate English was attempting to take from him, or any other individual in that crowd had simply punched the guy, or even taken him under control. He's clearly not particularly bulky. In fact, he looks like he's about as big around as my index finger. But clearly, the guy who was running from him had an easy 40 pounds on him, but no will to fight. And we'll come to that too at the end. I'll leave his actions, the running away guy, I'll leave his actions to the end. The part that bothers me more than anything else here is a chocolate English who is willing to use force to get what he wants, regardless of the law, regardless of the opinion of those around him, regardless of the will of his victim. And yet, somehow, no one in that crowd understands that someone needs to step up and stop him, yes, with violence and force, because if you don't, it empowers the next guy and this same fellow to go, oh, well, no one's stopping me, so why shouldn't I? You notice, and you may have to watch the video again, and I will link it in the description, but you notice that at no point during this video did anyone, including the people holding their phones and filming, think, wow, I'm holding a phone, I should call a cop. So it's not even that they're willing to exercise someone else's force on behalf of their own people. They simply don't, that instinct is gone. Now, I'm sure there are people who will argue, oh, well, if you did anything to the chocolate English guy, you'd be, especially if you were a white man, you'd absolutely be charged with a hate crime. No, self-defense cannot be a hate crime. Preventing someone from stealing from you is never a hate crime, regardless of what the courts may want us to think. Excuse me just a moment, I'm rearranging something on my desk to make my life a little easier. But regardless of what the court thinks, and I will point something else out as well. I'm sure at least one person who watched this video, and probably one person at the very least in that crowd, thought, why don't you just give him your watch? What's to stop him from saying, oh, well, you gave me your watch. Well, in that case, I want your wallet, and your belt, and your shoes, and your socks, your pants. Just give me everything you're wearing. You're going home naked. What's to stop him from doing that? And then, of course, there would be other people who would say, oh, well, if you get involved, there's always the chance that guy has a weapon. And your cause is righteous. Stand up for it. Now, and I don't like bashing victims, but this guy made himself a victim. The cowardly response to someone going, give me your watch, is to run away. What? At what point did you cease to have testicles, sir? Yes, I understand very, very well that responding with violence may get you in trouble. The not responding with violence may get you killed. If you are not willing to defend yourself, why would you expect anyone else to? If you are not willing to stand up and say, no, you can't, or no, you won't, or no, I won't let you, why would you expect someone else to? Oh, of course, because there are people paid to do that. Yeah, where were those people during that, 34-second clip? And probably a minute or more. Nowhere to be seen. If there was security in that, I assume it was a train station or Earl's Court, probably some sort of shopping area. If there was security there, they weren't getting involved. They're only paid to document what happens. I know this because I used to be a security guard. Yeah. And I've been a bouncer. And I am perfectly aware that immediate, forceful action is generally a great way to stop someone from being an asshole. Cowardice only serves to make you feel lesser. The man who was running away, no, he wasn't doing a good thing. If you think he was, then you need to stop following my channel or pay more attention to the world around you, and history in particular, because no, cowardice accomplishes one thing. It emboldens the people who made you cowardly. It makes them willing to do more and worse to you. It's the same mechanism that works with bullies in school. If you stand up to a bully, yeah, you might get your ass kicked, but you've stood up. And more importantly is how you view yourself. I cannot imagine the guy who was running is proud of himself today. Whether he managed to retain his watch or not, we never find out. But there's another aspect to violence that people seem to forget. There is a pro-social aspect to it. You increase social boundaries. You strengthen social boundaries by acting with violence. If someone, an example from when I was a child, there was a wife beater in my community. And several of the men found out, and that person was spoken to and stopped. Now, he was spoken to by several men who were far larger than he was. It stopped. Another good example, we can draw it from this video, is had one person simply clotheslined the little chocolate English bastard, he would have been stopped in his tracks. The guy with the phone, there's a big fella with a phone. Looks like he's built somewhat like me. Slightly rotund, but very dense. And that fellow all he really had to do was reach out as the guy went by him, grab the guy's hood, and pull. He's coming right off his feet. Then all you have to do is stand on him. Or, keep him down. Another thing that every good man should know is some form of restraint. Physical restraint. And I don't mean handcuffs. I mean knowing how to apply a joint lock or a control measure. The various things that the police use. When I was a bouncer, I never threw a single punch. Not once did I throw a punch. I would put people in hammerlocks. I would put people in various not biomechanical. Well, yes, I suppose biomechanical is a good choice. But body mechanics, understanding body mechanics and how the joints can and can't move, that's handy. Because when you lock someone's elbow, for example, they can't swing at you with that arm. They can try and flail at you with the other one, but if you're holding the arm properly, they're not going anywhere. And like it or not, they could have sent a squad of 4 tiny women police officers into that mall to handle that chocolate English guy. And they would have accomplished nothing, because the guy would have either outrun them or outfought them. One sturdy man is all it takes. Now, a lot of you are going to disagree with my take, and by all means, share your opinion in the comments. Other than that, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Hello, party people. So I'm attempting to make a go of this whole content creation thing, and I could really use your support, either monetary or, just moral. Though by moral I mean please like and share, comment, send it out to your friends, your frenemies, your family, and your foes. In any case, another way you can support me, and I am changing my merch store over to Fourth Wall, which is why it still says Redbubble in the bottom. You also have the option to send me a tip on Ko-Fi. But in the meantime, until I get the Fourth Wall up, sorted, ready to go, I will be keeping the Redbubble store open for a little while. Some of the designs that are in the Redbubble store will not be repeated on Fourth Wall. In fact, I am considering moving to a somewhat more limited run sort of system for some of these designs. Some of them cease to be topical after a while. I still have a number of the, let's call it the disease with no name designs. In any case, I do appreciate any support you guys give me, even if it is simply sharing it, or even liking and commenting. Every comment I see, I will respond to. Other than that, as always, I hope you're well and continue to be well. Rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.